So, absolutely. Well, first let me ask if anyone else does this and has it worked for them. So let me tell you what we did. Her question was, how do you make it really work? What are the details? So we call ahead. The first time you do this, we called ahead and said, this is Dr. Jasper's office. We're going to come in and bring you some information that will help with your patients. And we want to make sure, and we had to know the doctor's name. So we knew the doctor's name. We'd say, we have something specifically for your referral person. Can you tell us what their name is? Then we got their name. So let's say it's April, my name. And then we say, well, is April going to be in tomorrow? We would like to come by and bring you some things. And they say yes. And so then we go in, what time would be best? And we don't necessarily make an appointment, but we find out a good time. And then the first time you walk in, it's not as comfortable. Always, again, send two people, because if it's one person alone, they're very anxious and nervous. Even your most outgoing person on the team doesn't love it by themselves. So two people go, walk in, tell them their names. They need to have their shirts on, whatever it is you have them dress in, whatever their attire is that says their name. They need to have their business cards. A big basket for the office, and then they need to have something smaller for the referral person. The first time you go, I don't think I'd even bother trying. I mean, I don't honestly care if they meet the doctor. It doesn't matter to me at all if they ever see the doctor. Most of the time they will by the second visit. Many of them, the first visit, got tours through the office. But bring that big gift, have the smaller one for the referral person, and the first time, if they don't get in the door past the front desk, that's okay. The second time, how does that phone call go? We're coming back to bring some things to April and to the office. What did you like the most out of the basket we brought last time? And you know what it always is? The chocolate. Okay, well, and it's going to be macaroons for you guys. So we'll be by tomorrow at 2. Is that okay? Is everyone okay with that? Yep. And they look forward to having you come every time. They start to call us. It has to be a consistent person, because then they'll call your office. They'll be setting up appointments, asking for that person and asking when they're going to come back. We've been doing this now for 8 years, and it has been amazing for us. So it won't happen overnight. You are exactly right. The first few visits may be awkward. You may even run into a couple that say, don't ever come back. But what I would do is have this be a consistent process. Talk about what worked for you and what didn't, and then revamp it a little next time.
Have you ever tried offering a service to the staff there? Like, say you have a thermometer, you can come in and just check everybody's eye pressure.
I love that. I do have a colleague that does education, what do they call those? In-services. So they'll take the tonometer or take something and they'll actually do a luncheon and teach them about conjunctivitis, or teach them about glaucoma, and you could take a tonometer and be able to do that. And that's how they got in the door in some of the places that were less easy to be able to. So those are some ideas. Before we run out of time, I want to kind of fly through some more. Don't forget, you should have a budget for this. Honestly, I can tell you we've never even spent what they say the budget could be, which is about 2% of your gross revenue in a practice where you have optical and medical. But really, you need to have a strategy and a plan. I have already emailed Alex this. Actually, I'll show you in a minute. But this concept, I think, is, again, one of the most important concepts you'll go home with today, and that is when you come up with the things you're going to do, 20% thank you is what you want to remember. So let's say you're making a pen, a mug, putting together a program. This is what Southwest says. Your marketing should be 20% thank you and 80% remember me. And as you kind of think through this over the next few days, it'll start to make sense. If you're going to give them a mug is wonderful, a t-shirt is great, but it better say something on it to make them remember you. So when they need to have their eyes checked next time, or they need their sunglasses or contacts, they're coming to you and not someone else. And then make sure you have a calendar. I can tell you right now, the thing that would upset me the most is if I leave and you don't like me, that's okay. I'm not perfect and I won't get my feelings hurt. But if I leave and nothing changes, then I haven't been of any help to any of you. And so the only way I can tell you that I'm ever able to get something done in my practice is if I write it down. This is a sample marketing calendar, and you can see, maybe you can, January through the whole year. And then we have written down the things we're going to do as far as social media, what awareness month it is, and then somebody has to be in charge of that, so that if you say we're going to go visit the schools or the doctors every 3 months, put it on the calendar, know when it's going to get done, so everybody's held accountable to achieve that goal. And we have this, you're going to get afterwards. So, you need data. And you guys have so much data, you just have to go access it. I can't help you with that. You know internally how you get the data. We use a patient, what is it called? Engagement software that I can go back and look at it and see where my patients come from. I can see where the hot heat maps are for where the high dollar spend is in my area. So it would make no sense for me to spend money on external marketing like postcards to an area that doesn't have a good money spend or wouldn't be interested in that exact campaign. So when you start to do those things that cost money, look at where it makes most sense to do that. And in our area, we can actually get stuff like that from the power company. They have demographic data that you can get on the traffic patterns that go by your area. Anybody else have tips other than what you have internally as a group that you've gotten that data from? Okay, so you can get it this way. If you use any type of platform to communicate with your patients, then you can search it that way. The other way you can search it is go to your local, for us it's public utilities, and they have it all accessible to people, and it's free. And then a lot of the companies around you can do it as well. So social media, one thing I'll tell you is Instagram is one of the ones that seems to be the most watched.